All right. Let's see. My camera finds me. Welcome back to What She Says Sports. All right, y'all. So it's a lot happening. So I decided to go live. Hey Tina, how you doing? Hold on one second. Let's see if they can catch me. All right. I don't think they found me yet. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm trying to see if it's gonna catch me. All right. I think yep, there we go. All right. So yeah, it's a lot happening here. If you saw the thumbnail, it talked about Protect Shedeur Sanders and Kevin Stefanski. When did he become a victim? Oh, I was doing my hair. Let me take my hair down. when did he become a victim? And it was funny because when it first came out, I actually wanted to hop on live right then and there. And something was like, just schedule it, right? So Stefanski is seemingly on the way out. And that really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. One of the first things when you look into Stefanski's failures is he's a sub 500 coach. And what's happening on X today is some sort of reckoning, right? There are people that are thinking it's the worst mistake for Stefanski to be fired, which is insane to me, considering he is a sub 500 coach after 5 or 6 seasons. And when you dive deeper into his failures, one of the failures is failing to establish chemistry with Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Now, that's just at the top of the list, right? But what's more perplexing, and not really, but initially it was perplexing that people felt like it was a mistake to fire Stefanski. And then when they started to realize and reconcile that Stefanski is likely on the way out, oh, Andrew Berry got to go with him. So that turned into a whole nother conversation. And I'm like, no. Stefanski needs to go be fired by himself. Why? First off, I said, if anybody want to talk about Watson was Haslam's pick, not Andrew Berry. What we saw from Andrew Berry in the short time we've been paying attention as he put together a stellar rookie draft class. And what did Stefanski work tirelessly to try to upend or suppress that rookie draft class? We got Quinshon Judkins injured. It shouldn't be a surprise because they were running him like a workhorse because they wanted him to do most of the work, right? Why? Because they the Browns pivoted from Shedeur at number 2 overall to Dillon. And that's clearly Stefanski's choice. He made it clear that Dillon was his guy. And it didn't matter how much Dillon lost or how much of a check down king he was making Dillon out to be. He didn't care. People, when you look him up, they say one of his traits is he's stubborn. I'm like, that's what you call it? That's stubborn? Who gets to be stubborn at their job and do their own personal agenda? Who does that? Most people get fired for that. So this brings me back to, why are we trying to fire Andrew Berry, who assembled the number 2 defense through trades and acquisitions and in the draft with the restrictions likely placed on him by ownership? And then on the offensive side, Andrew Berry put together a hell of a rookie class. And what did we watch Stefanski do? Fix and rig games by what? Lack of adjustments. And that's one of the failures Stefanski is cited for, untimely adjustments. You mean lack thereof. And what does he do with the lack of adjustments? They leave Jerry Jeudy in to be a menace, to drop passes. Supposedly there's a clip going around today that they were practicing in the inclement weather and Jerry was out here dropping passes. I said, well, I hope that's a message to Shedeur. Don't throw to him because he's supposed to drop the pass, right? How are you dropping passes in practice? And then your coach doesn't make an adjustment to the number 2 guy. That's the same thing with the O-line. How is it Joel Bitonio was dirt diving? Jack Conklin busted for dirt diving. But they take Wyatt Teller out. How is it that Cam Robinson and KT Leviston, they don't make any adjustments to the twos and the threes behind them? Why is it when you see Andrew Berry keep bringing in linemen, Andrew Berry keeps bringing in linemen, but Stefanski doesn't make an adjustment to it? One of the new guys at Wakun, he questionable. How the hell is he questionable? He passed an exam to get here. How is he questionable? Kendrick Green was brought in. Stefanski won't play him. Keep wanting to put him behind on the depth chart as a center. So as many people as Andrew Berry brings in, Stefanski doesn't utilize, underutilizes, benches the best players, benches the players that support Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback, and chooses to keep in place the players that choose not to block, choose to dirt dive, choose to let the quarterback get sacked. So as a priority going into the week 18, the last game, a game where Stefanski knows he's on the outs. A game where Jerry Jeudy has already dropped passes. A game where the person that Andrew Berry just brought in as a lineman is questionable already. Harold Fanning Jr. is out. And Njoku is out. Y'all know Quinshon Judkins is out. The goal is to what? Protect Shedeur Sanders at the quarterback position. That's the goal for this week. With Stefanski knowing he being booted out. Now, mind you, he already might know where he's going. He shouldn't be going anywhere. And to be honest with you, he's no victim. He's not getting fired because somebody else messed up and he's the boss, so he has to take the blame. No, he made intentionally poor decisions, and one of them was bringing in Dylan Gabriel. That was an absolutely poor decision. And you know it was his decision because he gave Dylan the green light on everything as a third string quarterback who may possibly never have seen the field. And when Shedeur was third string or second string, he didn't get the opportunity to develop. So it's not, I felt like it was a polite way to say that Stefanski's being fired due to his unwillingness to support Black quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders, saying that he didn't work to build chemistry with them is polite. And we don't have time for politeness. Not that we're in a hurry to go somewhere, but this has gone on long enough. They waited until week 18 to talk about protecting the quarterback that has played and started 7 games when it was obvious from the second half of the Ravens game that Shedeur should have been protected and was intentionally not being protected. And once those players protected Dylan in the first half of the Ravens game and chose not to protect Shedeur in the second half, Stefanski clung to them like lint on your clothes out the dryer when you don't use a fabric sheet. And yes, Stefanski catching the heat and being dismissed lets the owner off the hook. So now you got to look for who they trying to bring in next. And of course, we talked about this last night, right? The Rooney Rule, right? Now, you know, Marcus Freeman, before he decided to stay at Notre Dame, he was a contender. All of these Black coaches are contenders and never get the job. It's just posturing. And it's a shame that it takes a rule to force them to even interview Black head coaching candidates. And even with the rule in place, it's just posturing. It shouldn't even be a question if Brian Flores should be a head coach. He was a successful head coach when you fired him. But you want to retain Kevin Stefanski. Are you serious? So you telling us that you'd rather keep a sub 500 coach because he's white rather than voluntarily interview a Black head coach for the position or a Black offensive coordinator. Excuse me, there's 0 Black offensive coordinators. You have taken Eric Bieniemy, an offensive coordinator, and turned him into a running back coach, demoting Black leadership. And now you want to toss Andrew Berry out because Stefanski chose to bring his personal agenda to work. No, Andrew Berry don't deserve to be fired. And that will be one hell of a lawsuit if he is fired. Performance is obvious. Andrew Berry is building while Stefanski is tearing down. And if Stefanski was unwilling to build chemistry with black quarterbacks, Deshaun and Shedeur, and they brought in Deshaun in 2022, well, I guess it explains why it is Deshaun wasn't protected. Just like we see Shedeur not being protected. Stefanski made himself a legal liability. That's first and foremost. And it's odd to me how today I find it very, very interesting that it's already documented that Art Rooney, who apparently is a leader of, I guess, the owner of the Steelers, it's already documented that if Mike Tomlin and the Steelers lose the game to Baltimore, they're not going to renew Mike Tomlin's option for 2027, which means he'll be a lame duck coach in 2028. So you already figured out what you're going to do with a head coach who has never had a losing season. You already know what you're going to do with him. He already on his way out the door if he lose this game. You already know that. And he's black. But you hemming and hawing about Stefanski, who's sub 500, who's documented as being unwilling to build chemistry with the black quarterbacks. It's documented if you go look at his press conferences. He fawns over the Dillons and the Carson Schwessingers, but he don't have nary a word for the Shedeur and the Harold Fannie Jr. Go all the way back to the spring. Go all the way back to the summer. Go all the way back to the fall before he got exposed and decided to start posturing. Jerry Jeudy should have been benched long time ago. Andrew Berry brought in all this other talent, but you don't want to talk about it. What did you hear Mike Tomlin say? The acquisition of Malachi Corley from the Jets. He's just now coming on. He should have been coming on. They had him behind Jerry Jeudy, even though I thought he was a tight end, but maybe he's a receiver. Harold Fannie Jr. is the leading receiver, and he's the tight end because Jerry Jeudy leads the league in drop passes. Stefanski is no victim. He made choices, and he should be fired for the consequence of those choices, which were laced in racial bias. And any team that picks him up should be immediately investigated for corruption, including racial discrimination. He has proven who he is. And it seems like the people that refuse to move on from him or want to hold on for him have the same agenda that Stefanski does, and they don't respect black quarterbacks. The NFL has an ugly history when it comes to black quarterbacks and devaluing them and discriminating against them, holding them back, switching them off, being sacked excessively, not being protected, being injured more. Joe Burrow had turf toe. Shedeur Sanders had his own tight end to step on and crush his throwing hand, so much so that it ripped the nail off of his finger. Do you know how excruciating that is? Lamar Jackson, his own O-lineman, stepped on his ankle and he had to miss games. And yet there's no adjustments or any consequences from that. Oh, it's just a mistake. It's just like anything else. When black people are the least in numbers, but the most experiencing punishment or injuries or speeding tickets, they're targeted. And it seems that Shedeur was targeted by Kevin Stefanski going back to the spring because he didn't want Shedeur there because he wanted his choice. And it's a shame he had a damn choice to pivot away from a franchise quarterback to Dillon, who was an undrafted free agent. So he went to the Manning Passing Academy. Stefanski is no victim. And why do I keep saying that? Because listen to this.
I'm not going to be in Cincinnati, and I really hope this is not the last time we get to talk to you face to face. I think you've had to deal with things, especially this year, that were unfair. That you had to coach a team that was, especially on offense, that was inferior to the teams that you faced. So I don't expect you to answer that. I just want you to know that's how I feel.
I respect that from you, as you know, and you guys know this game is never going to be about one person, and that includes me.
So basically, what's happening is the guy, the reporter guy, is sound like he want to cry
I'm not.
because he's saying he's not going to be in Cincinnati, and that he hopes this isn't the last time they get to meet and interview him face to face, and stuff, because in other words, he's trying to say Stefanski was dealt a bad hand. No, he wasn't. He was dealt a stellar hand, just like on defense. Putting together the number 2 defense, Stefanski could have put together a contender, did put together a contender for the playoffs. Shedeur got them in the hunt for the playoffs, and what happened? The media didn't talk about it. The Browns didn't celebrate it because they didn't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur. And that's why Stefanski, will likely fail up. That's why he's being painted as a victim. You were handed a bad hand by who? Andrew Berry. Who else you gonna blame? You gonna blame Haslam? No. In other words, Andrew Berry picked bad players that you had to work with. That's bullshit. If Andrew Berry put together the number 2 defense and a stellar rookie class, look at Harold Fanning Jr. Shit, look at Shedeur. And Stefanski, had he started with Shedeur in the season, had he had respect for black quarterbacks in the most important position on the team, they would have been contenders in the playoffs. But maybe Stefanski is catching the heat to hide the fact that the owner didn't want to get Shedeur like he told us. And the owner was okay with getting Dylan, knowing Dylan would fail, knowing that Dylan would be suppressed to be a check down key, because that's what they're working on over there at Oregon. Knowing that if Shedeur got out there with 20 million people watching, you're not going to suppress him as no damn check down key. And they tried it. One of the failures of Kevin Stefanski is them damn raggedy Wildcats. It's documented. Because Stefanski was doing everything to circumvent Shedeur Sanders as being impactful in the most important position, because he seemingly has a problem with respect for black quarterbacks. It's documented. They call it chemistry. It's racism. The burden of proof is on Stefanski to prove he's not racist after his behavior towards Shedeur, after his behavior toward Deshaun. And from what I understand from a fan, his behavior towards who? Jameis Winston, who they sent out the door as a QB3 or 2, but he gets to New York, finally gets an opportunity, and he a QB1. That's what Stefanski should be fired for and banned, because racism has no place. Racial bias has no place in professional sports. If you have a head coach that can't find chemistry with the black quarterbacks, then nobody should have to tell you what the problem is. And if you choose to hire someone who has demonstrated that when the quarterback is black, they're willing to allow them to be sacked, to be injured, to take them out the game for these raggedy Wildcats so they cannot be impactful because they're a thrower, like Willie Thrower in year 1. To even use that example is a dog whistle. He's not a thrower, he's a quarterback. But you can't bring yourself to say he's a quarterback because you don't respect black NFL players that are quarterbacks. And no other team should be hiring him. It's time for the NFL to move forward and stop trying to pedal backwards with people who describe themselves as servant leaders of teams. But then they're sub 500 as a coach. The locker room is divided. Players were traumatized. Players were retaliated against. Wyatt Teller and Tony Brown, and they both need to be exonerated. The best players put in the back on injury reserve. All of these excessive injuries, excessive losses when it didn't even have to be that way. Choosing to lose and exit the playoffs. He's done more harm than good, but they know if Mike Tomlin loses this game to the Ravens, so you can guess what happened, they are not going to renew or pick up his option to move forward with him. So in 2028, he'll be done. But they're going to wait until after this game to talk about Stefanski's future. You see where the racism comes from. The racist culture got to go. Oh, it's just all going to blow up. Because Stefanski can go to another team with the same personal agenda and no consequences, and it's all going to blow up. Just because you got away with it with Deshaun, just because you got away with it with Shedeur, and you really didn't get away with it with Shedeur, because if you did, we wouldn't be talking about it. Don't mean you're going to go to Tennessee and get away with it with Cam. It don't mean that at all. They different people. Cam might not have 20 million followers, but he got one hell of a personality. He's very intelligent as well. So just because you think black quarterbacks lack the intellect to hold the most important position in the team, and you want to downgrade them in your conversation and call them a thrower rather than a quarterback, that's your shortcoming. You foolish for thinking that. So it seems to me Kevin Stefanski is being painted as the victim, whether it's by reporters or certain fans or people within the Browns' orbit. He was handed a bad group of people. Absolutely not. You could have benched and should have benched Jerry Jeudy. You should have benched Joel Bitonio. You should have benched Jack Conklin. Wyatt Teller should be out there playing. Tony Brown should still be on the team. Now you have Harden, who you brought in to fail, as questionable. You set it up to say that Dylan was injured, and that's the only way Shedeur can get the play. Shedeur didn't earn the right to play. He only got to play by default. Absolutely not. And everybody knows, had Shedeur started in the beginning, the Browns would be in the playoffs. But maybe, I think it was Floria said, the Browns will be the Browns because of the owner. Because what are they saying today at ESPN Cleveland? What I already said. They waiting on the Manning kid. And they said it again today. And they going to keep saying it. Because the same people, I want Shedeur to play. I want Shedeur to play. Oh, I think Shedeur's better. Yeah, I've seen enough of Dylan, Tony Grossi, and the other guy, Rizzo. I think they're going for the Manning kid. He know they're going for the Manning kid. Long as Shedeur know they're going for the Manning kid, it's cool. Because Shedeur can move on. Because if you think you're going to bench Shedeur behind the Manning kid, you better think again. And now, some Nimrod to put out a damn mock draft with Trinidad Shambliss coming in at number 39 to the Browns. First and foremost, Trinidad Shambliss, like Shedeur Sanders, is a QB1. And secondly, I told y'all to look for the play that the NCAA is delaying his waiver so he can be forced to come out this year, so he will not be further in addition to competition to the Manning kid next year. And knowingly, they want to put Trinidad Shambliss or Dante Moore on the same team with Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. You see what's happening, right? And that's why Stefanski had a job. And the only reason they are likely moving on from him is because of the pressure. Because they didn't have this pressure last year when it was Deshaun. And they don't want to talk about the Manning kid, even though they're starting to put it out there. And it's funny how we want Shedeur to play. We want Shedeur to play. Oh, okay. You wanted Shedeur to play because you knew Dylan wasn't going to win them games, and you thought Shedeur was going to lose those games. So you didn't want Dylan to go out there and lose against Pittsburgh and the Titans and everybody else. But you wanted Shedeur to lose against the toughest stretch. And you gave Dylan the easiest stretch. Just like Spencer Rattler in New Orleans and Tyler Shaw. Tyler Shaw got the easiest stretch of games. while Spencer Rattler was set up to prove he wasn't the guy with the toughest stretch of games. And they thought that's why Shedeur ended up playing more than 4 games. And that's why fans booed him instantly when his toe touched the field, because they know he's not good. And Stefanski should have been fired for Dylan Gabriel. And that ain't on Andrew Berry, because Andrew Berry thought he was drafting Shedeur. Stefanski is not a victim. If he's the victim of anything, it's his own heart, his own thoughts, and his clouded judgment. He should have been fired. Jerry Jeudy need to go with him, dropping passes in practice, but yet he gonna be the starter. Make that make sense. And they want to say that's stubbornness. No, that's fixing and rigging games. So it's not chemistry that Stefanski didn't build with Deshaun and Shedeur. It's racism as to why Stefanski didn't gravitate towards, or support Shedeur and Deshaun. Because when Deshaun got injured, Stefanski took his headset off. And then he wanted to give it to the offensive coordinator that they fired. And he supposedly turned the play calling over to Tommy Rees, but he admitted, I'm still calling the plays. And we know he's still calling the plays. We know it's his game plan. We know he's the reason that there are no adjustments after Jerry Jeudy. There was no benching for Jerry Jeudy. There's no adjustments after Cam Robinson intentionally let Shedeur get hit the same way in the back as Lamar, which took Lamar out. People talk about how tough Shedeur is. That should be reserved for playing games and not, man, you know he tough. We're going to have to try something else. We already stepped on his hand. That did take him out. We stepped on Lamar's ankle. That took him out. Harold Fanning Jr. was disappointed he can't play his last game. I bet he can. I bet he can. Anything to weaken the offense. And pay attention. They don't want Njoku to play either. So what's that, 2 tight ends? So who is he left with? The guy that stepped on his hand. Stefanski is not a victim. So the people pining for Stefanski, y'all need to link up and go to dinner at his house or something, because he's certainly no head coach. And any damn team that decides to trade for him or hire him should be immediately investigated for corruption and racial discrimination, because his record and his performance is subpar. He's failed as a head coach. So what are you hiring him for other than his unwillingness to support Black quarterbacks? That's it. So let me see what y'all are saying. So Stefanski's response to the video was, it's never just one person. So basically, they're trying to make him a victim, and he's playing right into the hands of never just one person. He can't blame. Who he gonna blame? He and Andrew Berry are equals. You can't blame Andrew Berry. What, you mad because you didn't want Shedeur? Y'all pivoted from Shedeur, but y'all had to draft Shedeur. So you mad at Andrew Berry? I don't know why you mad at Andrew Berry, because I think we all know that that wasn't on Andrew Berry. When Haslam said there was a call and all the people were in the right room, Andrew Berry didn't call. He was in the room. Now you get it. So if he got an attitude, he need to call up 47 and have an attitude with him. Or Haslam's, whoever's idea that was. That's who you need to be upset with. So it's in other words, he's a victim, and he's not even taking accountability for his poor choices, his clouded judgment, his racial bias. So let me see what y'all are saying. I already scheduled the 10:35. I took a poll for people asking what they thought about Andrew Berry now that it seems like Stefanski is on the way out and should be banned, how do you feel about Andrew Berry staying? I think right before I went live, Mary Cabby came out and said Andrew Berry is safe. I don't even know why that's a conversation. I don't even know why that's a conversation. As of right now, 44 people answered. I'll share this with y'all. 44 people answered the poll I just put out 1 hour ago. I'll share it with y'all, and we'll just follow up with it later on. Yeah, no, Stefanski is no victim, bro. He's not going out like that. Like, that's the most Karen thing ever, to throw rocks and start crying and playing victim, and it's never just one person. All right, so it says right here on the screen, let me share it. Okay, it says, it appears Stefanski is on the way out as head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I said, amen. It said, what about Andrew Berry? Should he stay on as GM or be dismissed as well? Now, I said it. They could be playing in Andrew Berry's face, talking about he's safe, this, that, and the other. They can wait to the last minute till everybody else have their GM and they could dismiss him. Understand that. Understand that. And it says Berry should stay on as GM. 89% say absolutely yes. And only 11% say that Berry should be dismissed from the Browns also. And this is pretty much the consensus across the internet for people who are informed. When people say Berry should be fired, 9 times out of 10, they're talking about because of Deshaun Watson. Andrew Berry did not bring in Deshaun Watson. That was Haslam's doing. Haslam's and the 32 owners probably made that decision together. If you read the collusion documents, they make a lot of decisions together, and mostly about who the quarterback is, because why? That's the identity of the team. The quarterback has influence, and the quarterback is the face of the team. No matter how many people you try to post on social media, it's still the quarterback. So that's, to me, why I guess a few people think that Berry should go. Berry's done a wonderful job. How else do you think they got the number 2 defense? And if Stefanski had respected his own coworker in Andrew Berry and not try to undermine him, he would have used all of those different O-linemen that Andrew Berry brought in after the draft and as of last week. But no, he keeps pushing them out the way like Wyatt Teller. And nobody calls that out, right? Because a lot of the people want to make him a victim. And when he says it's not just one person, yeah, it is. It's you. You're the damn problem. And if they actually go get a decent coach who wants to coach and not carry out an agenda, then they'll see just how stellar the offense is, because any other coach worth his salt would bench Jerry Jeudy. And if Andrew Berry can trade Jerry Jeudy, I bet he would. I bet he would like to get rid of that $41 million guarantee for a wide receiver with the most drop passes. And I'm willing to believe that wasn't his choice either. Notice there was no accountability. And people didn't say, man, Stefanski should be fired. He should have benched Jerry Jeudy. Notice there wasn't a lot of talk about that. That should have been one of the things that people talked about. So I don't know. Jerry Jeudy dropping passes in practice, because that's what they say is on film. I haven't looked at it yet. I have to go look at it later. Proves that either he's sending a message that this what it's gonna be, so heads up, or he's sending a message that this what it's gonna be. Let me see what you do about that. I don't know. You decide. So let's see what y'all saying over here in the comments. It says, hey, RD, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Tina, how you doing? Hey, Peter, happy Saturday. How you doing? Hey, everybody, how you doing? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. What a beautiful day. Yes, it is beautiful. I actually have the door open. One of the doors open because I like the fresh air. And it's not cold here today. It was cold yesterday. Atlanta's weather is very interesting. I love the 4 seasons. But even in the winter, you know, you have a cold day yesterday and it's warm today. Well, not warm, but it's not cold or chilly. Hey, Texas Cannon, how you doing? It said, I know he's not going somewhere else as a coach. I think he might be, Sharon. Who wants that losing coach? Well, they say he is being traded. Trading the coach for what? Apparently, they trade coaches. That's news to me, too. Apparently, that's the thing. And I don't know where he going to be traded because they said he was going to New York and they don't have a head coach. Tennessee fired their head coach. I don't know where he could be going other than Baltimore and Harbaugh come to the Browns. Understand, and I have said this, they probably will move on from Stefanski because he's a legal liability and get somebody just like him. From what I could see, Harbaugh and Stefanski got the same thing going on. The one in Baltimore got the same thing going on where Lamar Jackson is concerned. So I don't know. I have to look into the whole trading coaches thing, but I thought that was interesting. I've heard them say it before and they said it again today. He could be traded. And I was like, traded? Why would anybody want to keep him? Right? That's what I don't get. But they did say that. So you on to something about him being traded. It said Project 2026. Yeah. It's really 2025. It's really Project 2025. That's really what it is. It said he is about to cry. Give me a break. Right. You heard that? Did you hear? I'm like, is he about to cry? If you just now coming in, take a listen to this interview where a reporter sounds like he about to break down in tears. It's the most caring thing ever. It is the most caring thing ever, in my opinion.
Cincinnati. And I really hope this is not the last time we get to talk to you face to face.
He said, I really hope this is not the last time we get to talk to you face to face. I'm like, then call him up and go to dinner with him after he get fired.
I think you've had to deal with things, especially this year, that were unfair, that you had a coach.
You had to deal with things that were especially unfair. Like what? What the hell was unfair? What was unfair? Benching Dylan because he was losing games and playing Shedeur, who started winning games? What was unfair? That Andrew Berry went and got some more O-linemen and you didn't make adjustments to them? That Andrew Berry brought in Malachi Corley and you still refused to play him, to start him, but you want to keep going with Andrew Berry? Keep going with Jerry Jeudy? What was so unfair? Let's be honest. What was unfair? That you have a sub 500 record since you've been there, since before Shedeur got there, since you failed. You were unwilling to establish chemistry to support the quarterback, aka racism, the black quarterback. And they paid $230 million for him to come there. And you chose not to support him. You should have been fired. And when you say it's unfair, every decision you made was to lose games, leaving Dylan in. First of all, pivoting to Dylan, running a fake competition, and Shedeur winning, and you act like you didn't see it. And instead, you want to set Shedeur up in the Rams game. Shedeur has been set up in every damn game he has played with Stefanski as the head coach. Whether he won or lost those games, he was set up in each game. So were they giving Stefanski enough rope to hang himself? Because that's what he did. And it is preposterous to think that he could be traded. And it is the most caring thing ever to say that he's a victim. He was dealt a bad hand. What happened was unfair when he made all the decisions. He chose who played. It was obvious that Shedeur was drafted there, but he chose Dylan. He chose to say Dylan was injured and make it seem like Shedeur didn't earn it. He chose not to be supportive of Shedeur. He chose to lose all of those games. He didn't even want to bench Flacco when it wasn't working out. He's not stubborn. He has an agenda. And his agenda has no place in professional sports. There's enough evidence out there to support the fact that his judgment is clouded by racial bias, not just when it comes to Shedeur, also when it comes to Harold Fanning Jr. But they love Jerry Jeudy, and he has the most dropped passes in the league. I wonder why they love him. It's not about winning or losing. Yes, the hell it is. Because when the fans buy their tickets, they expect to see a competition. So the tickets need to be free if it's not about winning or losing. And he took his headset off after Deshaun got injured, and he should have been fired. Because who invests $230 million in a quarterback and allows the head coach to get them injured? The same way he was trying to get Shedeur injured. They protected Whiteheart after he crushed Shedeur's hand and tore off the nail, his throwing hand. And he still gets to play, but Harold Fanning Jr. has to sit. And he walked off the court, off the field on his own accord. But Stefanski out here gushing over Carson Schwarzenegger. Get the hell out of here. It's plain as day. It said, cry me a river. It said, we haven't forgot about how he did Shedeur. I know that's right, Nicole. It said, wouldn't even say his name. What goes around comes around. Right. Stefanski dehumanized Shedeur Sanders the entire time Shedeur has been in Cleveland. The entire time. Going on the record saying what? We know he gonna come in, he gonna work hard. But it didn't matter. That's discriminatory. Shedeur won the little fake competition. You should even never had a competition with him in it. So your goal was to humiliate him. You take pleasure in dehumanizing and making a black quarterback suffer, whether it's physical or emotional or mental. That's disgusting. He is a legal liability. And any team that hires him better be investigated. Or it's just all going to keep blowing up. Because if you notice with him, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And he shouldn't be allowed to coach this last game. Why would you allow a failing coach to coach the final game when it's documented he doesn't support the black quarterbacks? And not just Shedeur. You put in Shedeur in harm's way with Stefanski anywhere on the field with the ability to assemble the game plan, call plays, the roster, anything. Why should he get a final opportunity to coach after he has failed and created a toxic culture, divided the locker room, seemingly fixing and rigging games using the roster and the depth chart and the play caller against Shedeur, who's obviously QB1 for this game? That's putting Shedeur in harm's way intentionally. And if you can come out as an owner and say that if Mike Tomlin loses this game, they're not going to pick up his option, but you have to leave Stefanski, you choose to leave Stefanski in place to do more harm to the team and to Shedeur. What does it say? That you coddle those that cause harm to black quarterbacks. And that when you're black and your leadership, like Brian Flores or Mike Tomlin, and you're successful, they know well in advance that they're going to move on from you as if you failed, but you really succeeded. Losing this game, which is probably going to be rigged, is just an excuse to move on from Mike Tomlin. But they can't even use all of the evidence that supports that Stefanski should have been fired long time ago. That's racism. And it's a racist culture, which is why you have people coddling Stefanski so he can continue to be racist against black quarterbacks. That's shameful. And the public needs to know about this. This is just shameful. This is shameful. This is what you're paying for. You're not paying for competition. You're paying for Stefanski and people like him to implement their agenda against black quarterbacks. And you're also paying for games to be fixed and rigged against Lamar Jackson and Mike Tomlin. That's what you're paying for. And fans need to know what they're paying for. Deflecting and refusing to show accountability. Correct. Cleveland sports media is just as bad. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how Tony Grossi and Rizzo were campaigning for Shedeur. What I told y'all about that? Did I told you about it? Now they want to get Kurt Signetti in here so they can get Mendoza, who's a check down king. Check down king. Do the math. He better than Dillon, and that's what they want Tyler Shaw to be. That's what they want every quarterback to be, while they suppress Trinidad Shambliss, Shedeur Sanders, Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, Cam Ward, Spencer Rattler, Jalen Hurts, Jada Daniels, CJ Stroud. I could go on and on and on. Every quarterback that's black has athleticism that they want to curtail and prop up the check down king. They want to lower the bar away from athleticism. And why do you think that is? I'm pretty sure Quinn Ewers is not a check down king. Josh Allen is not a check down king, but they are working to keep him in the pocket, to make him a check down king, so that they can choose the quarterback that they prefer, and they don't want to be beholden to talent and athleticism. But Shedeur, they said, was not athletic. It's not the athleticism. It's the talent. Whether it's a pocket passer with a deep ball or a dual threat that can make the game exciting. They want to curtail the competition, the athleticism, the talent, and reduce it to a Dillon, a check down king. That's why Dante Moore has the most upside of any of the quarterbacks. But he's number 2 off the list behind a check down king. And they already started with the disrespect with Shambliss, with him coming at 39 when technically he's 1 or 2. They won't even let Dante be 1. That's why if Dante, you over there mulling, I don't know. He say he friends with Cam Newton. So hopefully, I don't know what's going to come of that, but, you know, he got big respect for Cam, and Cam is like a mentor for him. So he might come on out because Cam ain't 100% certain of what's going on. It said at some point the players need to show up and stand up. I mean, honestly, Myles Garrett still is. We're going to talk about that tonight. Myles Garrett still is. I mean, you can't knock him. Myles Garrett still is. We're going to talk about that tonight, too. It says, maybe Stefanski should have paid a little attention to a few of my favorite strategic motivations. Zig Ziglar, Mike Kiyosaki, and Steve Jobs. Too late for Stefanski. Maybe we can pass this on to the Browns owner. Well, I mean, that would be good, but I bet he throw it in the trash, Mama Tia. They doing exactly what they want to do. Welcome back. Happy New Year, Mama Tia. It said, I guarantee you Stefanski knows Shedeur's name now. Too late. Agreed. Mediocre Stefanski needs to go. I totally agree. Stefanski's journey isn't over. It said union compliance. We still have to investigate. He gave $40 million to an undeserved draft pick. It ain't over. Oh, you talking about Dillon? Who is the undeserved draft pick for $40 million? Let me know. It said Spencer Rattler came from Gamecock Nation. Shedeur is far better than what Rattler was here in South Carolina. Right, but Spencer Rattler is also better than Tyler Shaw. I'm not comparing Rattler to Shedeur. I'm comparing Rattler to Tyler Shaw, and they use Rattler to play the toughest stretch of the Saints schedule, and knowing, right, they would be like, well, okay, you're not the guy. They only did that. Just like Shedeur played the 7 games, he was only supposed to play 4 to protect Dillon from going out there and losing. They did the same thing with Tyler Shaw. Tyler Shaw is a check down king. I've said it before. Mendoza is what they want Tyler Shaw to be. A check down king. And Mendoza is just better at it than Tyler Shaw. He's a check down king. The 1-yard touchdown that Mendoza made, should have gone to the running backs who already had 2 touchdowns. But if they would have had 3 and he would have had 2, well, they wouldn't have nothing to talk about. And it would be obvious for you to see that the running backs did the work, because why? They had 215 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. When you see a 1-yard touchdown from the quarterback, come on now. Come on now. Just come on now. It's staged. It's staged so he can come out 1 in front of Dante Moore. They were trying to push Dante Moore to the Browns because they know that Stefanski doesn't respect black quarterbacks. And now they want to cry, talking about, I hate that this will be the last time that we get to interview you. Then go to his damn house for dinner or ask him out to lunch. But he's no head coach. And racism has no place in professional sports. And it's time for the NFL to stop coddling these people. But you know what? If you don't, it's okay, because it's just all going to blow up. And it's just going to keep blowing up over and over and over until all the fans realize what the hell is happening. I'm like, it's the most parent thing ever. Oh, we going to miss you. Then go see him at his damn house then. It says Stefanski is a rat baiter. It said his trap definitely did not work. It says Shedeur is grown. Let him know straight up. You want me to fail, right? And it's not going to happen. So they're going to try to set him up for this last game. And it's not about wins or losses, is it? It's about injuries. It said Mary Kay should be banned from the news media. Analysts are supposed to be non-biased. She was on the neck of Shedeur. Oh, I agree. I agree. I still have that video of her where she was choosing to celebrate Dylan getting an opportunity that Shedeur didn't get. It's like everybody in the Browns orbit, for the most part, is happy to see Stefanski suppress a black quarterback. That's what it's given. That's just what it's given. They don't care that he don't win games. The fans care. And somebody said, it's crazy how the fan base is so loyal that they want to hold on to a coach that wins 7 games. I said, they not loyal to the winning and losing. That ain't why they're loyal. I said, there is something that Kevin Stefanski provides. And whatever that something is what they're loyal to. And when you go and you look it up, the lack of chemistry with black quarterbacks is the something. The willingness to destroy the careers of black quarterbacks is the something they are loyal to. And it amazes me when I see their tailgate, see all of these black people. And remember, I interviewed the one fan. Thank you for that, Saint. And he said it, it's just ingrained in them because they grew up with it. And I understand that, right? But it's time to take a step back. You got to take a step back and start speaking out. You can't just roll with the Browns who going against black quarterbacks because you were born into it. I was born into it too, but I'll be damned. One of the reasons I didn't even want Shedeur going to New Orleans. I would have been happy if it happened. What did y'all hear me say if he was paying attention? Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Because I know New Orleans. Hey, Beach, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, everybody. It said, I'm curious how much money the Browns would get for him if he traded. That's hilarious. Who are you talking about, Dylan or Stefanski? Julia, who are you talking about, Dylan or Stefanski? That's hilarious. It said, Willie Lynchburg inside the NFL, inside your own organization. It said, be careful of ditch digging. It said, you may just be the first one to fall in. That's right, Stefanski. Stefanski dug a ditch for Shedeur and dug one for himself. And now he got to move on, apparently. Possibly it fell up to a bigger market with a whole group of people. And you don't know how you're going to be received. See, he cultivated that toxic culture. Mind you, they were toxic before him, but they've since then hired new people. And he's cultivated intimidation and retaliation and discrimination, racism into the toxic culture, which is why they love Jerry Jeudy. They love him because they got him to do what they needed done against a black quarterback using seemingly a black person. But he's not African-American. And they like to exploit that difference. But you see, Njoku came over to Shedeur right away. He's Nigerian. And you see, he's not playing. And he's not injured. Okay, so it said he chose to start Dylan Gabriel for 7 weeks, even when he was a disaster on the field. Stefanski made the decision. I totally agree. That's why, he's like, the guy was like, well, as if you were handed a bad bag of apples. Nah, you took a bag of good apples and you tried to destroy them. That's what you tried to do, all in the name of stifling a black quarterback. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. And he's obviously, his judgment is clouded. I wish y'all could see him. We'll look at it tonight, gushing over Carson Swessinger. He even says it. I'm not stomping for him. Yes, you are. And he's never been like that with Harold Fanning Jr. And Harold Fanning Jr. deserves the praise. People love that kid. In fact, they say he's the face of the franchise going forward because they didn't want to acknowledge Shedeur at the time. And they all know the Manning kid is going to come through. And as long as Shedeur knows the Manning kid is coming through, then Shedeur can get the hell out of there. But it is racist to try to destroy Shedeur Sanders' career. Hire a white coach whose only mission is not to win games, to retain him, to say he did good work for you, when all he has done is stifle Deshaun Watson, who you brought in for $230 million, and Shedeur Sanders, who you claim you didn't want. Ruin black quarterbacks' careers, including Jameis Winston. Work to devalue him. PJ Walker, work to devalue him. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, work to devalue them. But you praise Flacco. You praise Carson Swessinger. You let Carson Swessinger play hurt, and he's a hero. But Harold Fanning Jr. has to sit because he's an asset at catching passes, but you never bench Jerry Jeudy, who's done nothing but fail. His only success is managing to hoodwink a damn $41 million guarantee off of a $58 million contract and go on to be the receiver with the most drop passes. That ain't nothing to praise. You just making an ass out of yourself. But he don't care about his reputation, and they don't either. That's why they never took him out the games. That's why there was never any consequences, which is why he over there probably dropping passes in practice. So now that Stefanski on the way out the door, like I said, he either let Shedeur know what's coming because Stefanski on his way out the door, or because Stefanski on his way out the door and he pissed because he done made a fool of himself. He letting Shedeur know what it's going to be. It said, I can really go deeper. It said, but of course, I'll keep it clean. It said, we saw Rwanda and lynching inside of the Browns organization. Anyone who helped Shedeur, he pulled them away. That's facts. That's retaliation. That's facts. We talked about Wyatt Teller. We talked about Tony Brown. I don't know. I thought Shedeur and Jerry Jeudy were cool, and I'm sure Shedeur did, and I'm sure Jerry worked to make sure Shedeur thought that, right? But then, just like in the draft, they used Jerry just to try to humiliate or put Shedeur in a bad position, basically. And it did work. Jerry exposed himself. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that he's compromised. And everybody knows the locker room is divided. And again, Myles Garrett still speaking out. The entire organization treats Shedeur as invisible with nothing to offer all preseason and most of the season. Shedeur was getting reps with the water boy. Facts. And the same equipment managers they had Shedeur phone number sent out to in the draft indicated they were going to waive him. They want Shedeur to be on pins and needles. They want him to be scared. I ain't scared of nothing. I'm going to go out here and play football. I'm going to watch my back and I'm going to watch my front. Since y'all ain't trying to win, I'm going to just hand it off to the running back. I might get a little few passes in here, but hey, they trying to turn him into a check down key. That's what the last 2 games were about. Anything to suppress the talent of these black quarterbacks, but yet you keep drafting them. It said the entire organization treated Shedeur as invisible. I totally agree with that one. It said if Stefanski stays, he will be a reminder to Black people and players that the 32 approve of what he did. Right. And you know what Stefanski is a reminder of? Stefanski is acknowledgement. You know what Stefanski is acknowledgement of? The draft had nothing to do with Coach Prime. Stefanski is confirmation that the draft had absolutely nothing to do with Coach Prime. That Coach Prime was not the reason that Shedeur was devalued. That Shedeur being entitled was not the reason he was taken off the draft board. Stefanski still having a job while they know what they're going to do to Mike Tomlin is confirmation that what Brian Flores alleges in his class action lawsuit, that the NFL is rife with racism, is in fact true. It is true. It is a confirmation that racism is rife in the NFL. The people shedding tears for Karen to move on after Karen picked this fight. But now he a victim, or she is a victim. It's the most Karen thing ever that I've seen in the NFL. You caused all of this with your clouded judgment and your agenda. And now you the victim, and it's never just one person. No, it is one person. Kevin Stefanski, it's you. It's you. And the NFL should rid itself of people like Kevin Stefanski that are like-minded. And everybody need to take note of who's crying as it is discussed that he's moving on, and who's celebrated that they already know what they're going to do with Mike Tomlin. Well, you ought to know who's going to win the goddamn game then, huh? That's insane to do something like that. Mama Tia said, Nola, Happy New Year. It said, enjoy a nice meal from the chat. Oh, it said, we see you at 10:30. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will do that. I might go out to dinner after this. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mama Tia. We'll see you tonight. We'll see you tonight. Absolutely. It said, I was born at night, but not last night. I know that's night. I know that's right, Ramon. I know that's right. Stefanski, yeah. It's the most Karen thing ever. Change is here. That's what I'm saying. Change is here. Change is here. That's exactly what I say. Bye, Judy. Yep, he need to go too. It said, Judy says he wants Stefanski. What? Wait, what? It said, Jerry Judy say he wants Stefanski. Don't save him. What? Well, Myles Garrett, I'm telling y'all, Myles Garrett don't have no problem saying what need to be said. Hey, Nola girl, they might clean house in the Browns organization. Both Stefanski and Barry and Tommy Reese are all gone. Tommy Reese should definitely go with Stefanski. Tommy Reese and Stefanski, and I heard that Jim Sports, the DC, might become the new head coach. Now, for what I saw, he was willing to suppress his defense. He was willing to suppress his defense while Shedeur was playing. Absolutely. That's what Myles Garrett and them were talking about, right? These guys, we're not out here about to go out here and lay down because you want some more draft picks. So we're going to see if Myles Garrett is back. But it's time for change. And the fact that Mike Florio, I think it was him, called out Haslam, that was different. Because Mike Florio was going in on Shedeur, saying that the grown QB wanted to get his full pie and he should have had an agent. I didn't like that because that don't have nothing to do with it. Cam Ward don't have an agent, and they didn't care. Anything to hold back Shedeur. And it wasn't about the money. It was about 17 of 32, which is racial bias against Black quarterbacks and them becoming the majority at the starting position. That's what it's about. And Kevin Stefanski and the way they are mishandling Shedeur proves that. The fact that they already got Shambliss coming in at a 39, absolutely the hell not. And the NCAA has delayed his waiver, but Diego Pavia can get his. And he asking for a 7th year. Shambliss is only asking for 1 year, and it's not his 7th. I think it might be his 6th. And he was a COVID student, so it makes sense. All of that finagling and manipulation of Trinidad Shambliss and Shedeur Sanders points to racism. Because you want to put Dante Moore at the 2 when you can say he has the most upside, but it has to be the white quarterback first. And he's not white. He Cuban, but I guess they're willing to take that. The point is he's not black. So that's what Dante Moore and Trinidad have to look forward to coming into this league. Also being devalued. And I told y'all, Shedeur was not going to be the last one. I said, if they get away with this, it's going to be in perpetuity going forward until it just all blow up. It already happened to Lamar. It should have never happened to Shedeur, but it did, and it will happen to somebody else. And from what I can see, they thought that somebody else was going to be Lenore Sellers until here comes Trinidad. And you see the NCAA has a hand in that of trying to force him into a particular position rather than doing what's fair and granting his waiver like they did for Diego Pavia. Thank you again, Mama Tia. See you tonight. St. Ivy said, thank you for all of your fight. And this can help with the tip. Oh, thank you so much. That is so sweet. St. Ivy, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's so nice. So yeah, I am going to get out of here and I am going to go to dinner because I did want to go live as soon as it happened. But I'm like, I'm going to give people time to get the notification. And I already scheduled for tonight, 10:35. It says Kevin Stefanski gone. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's some other stuff in that. That we'll be talking about tonight. And we'll take a look at the injury report and see who else is out. I know Carson Swessinger is out. They brought in a linebacker off the practice squad to replace him. The new guy, and Wanku, he's questionable. I'm like, get the hell out of here already. So we'll take a look at that. And then we'll take a look at the Bengals and what, they're saying about Shedeur, what they have planned. And don't forget, I already scheduled the live stream for tomorrow. The holidays throwing me off a little bit, so I got to look at my calendar and make sure it's tomorrow. Yeah, Sunday. At 12:50 p.m. we go live. Give myself 10 minutes to set up and kick off the game at 1 p.m. Shedeur Sanders, if you see this to anybody in your camp, I pray to God you keep your head on a swivel, sir. Understand, there's nothing else to gain here, and injuries are not off the record, as you know, with them crushing your hand. So people call that friendly fire. So please be careful and be mindful and protect yourself because you can't trust them to do it. So I'll see y'all tonight at 10:35 p.m. Mama Tia and St. Ivy, thank y'all so much for the Cash Apps. I appreciate it. Or for the super sticker. And for the Cash App folks, thank you too. I haven't checked, but y'all always send me stuff. So thank you as well. And for everybody that hung out midday on a Saturday, 100 and I can never see how many of us are here. 191 of us. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We'll see you tonight at 10:35. You'll love it here. And I'll see y'all later. Kevin Stefanski is not a victim. And yes, he should be banned from coaching anywhere that Black people play sports. See y'all later. Have a good one.